Us. And now to our interview with the guest of the day. I am joined by the former Chief of Training and Operations of the Nigerian Army and retired Lieutenant General Lamidi Adeosun for discussion on winning the war against banditry and terrorism. Thank you very much for joining us, sir.
Thank you.
So before we get into the nitty-gritty of our discussion tonight, I mean, this is my first time of having a conversation with you. So let's get personal for some minutes. How did you come to be a soldier? Did you become a soldier by accident?
Well, I would say my becoming a soldier is by providence. As a very young person after my teacher training college, my intention was to go for higher institution and higher studies, which I planned for, and eventually Nigerian Defense Academy came to be the one I opted for after having admission to 2 or 3 places, a Polytechnic, University of Ilorin, as well as the Nigerian Defense Academy. And the rest is history.
The Army as a Lieutenant General by dint of hard work and privilege. How are you finding life outside the trenches?
Confirm life after retirement?
Outside the trenches, how are you finding life outside the trenches?
After the service?
Outside the trenches, how are you finding life after retirement?
Very good. Well, I find it very, very enjoyable and pleasurable in a way because all my life I've lived a life of dedication to service and the service of the Army, my country, and humanity. And after retirement, I had to take some rest, and my constituency up to now has not really left me because they still give me the opportunity to come around to attend their seminars, to attend their program, give lectures, and all those stuff. So all those things still keep me active, apart from other private things that I do.
In 2014, as GOC in Maiduguri, you led the reclaiming of local governments occupied by Boko Haram in places like Borno, Yobe, Adamawa states to enable us have elections in those states. What was the experience like, and what factors enabled you to record those lightning successes?
Thank you. Prior to my deployment to 7th Division as General Officer Commanding, the Boko Haram insurgency has taken a very serious toll on the Army in particular, on the military generally, in that most of the barracks in the northeast then, particularly in Borno, have been taken over by the insurgents themselves. Talking of the barracks in Baga, which housed the multinational joint task force as at then, the barrack in Mungunu, which was an armored battalion, the barracks in Bama, which was also an armored battalion. So also the military deployment at Goza, all those places were right under full control of the insurgents. Aside from them, operating in almost all the local governments in Borno, at least 17 of them, as well as a few local governments in the neighboring or contiguous state of Adamawa, Yobe, by then. So I had a task given to me right from Army headquarters and from the Office of the National Security Advisor on what the country expects of us in the field. And that was it. That was the only thing I needed with all the experiences and training that I've had before in the field, in training institutions, and in handling so many exercises in the Army. I was actually very clear of what I was going for and what I was going to do. And getting there, I went into work straight away. I must give kudos to those I met on ground, because they gave me the initial on-the-spot briefing on exactly what was obtainable on ground, apart from what we pick up in newspapers, what we pick up from stories. They cannot be the same as what is the reality on ground. But having gotten the reality on ground, I had enough basis and enough information, relying also on continuous strategic guidance from the Army headquarters on what to do. And that was how, after I took over, we went into serious planning. We went into psyching up the troops. We went into ensuring some of the things that they required were actually sought for and given to them, at least to boost their morale. You can imagine all the troops that have been driven away from their barracks and concentrated in and around Maiduguri. You can imagine what their morale was. So one of the major tasks was to shore up their morale, for them to believe they are soldiers and they can do it. If they cannot do it, if all of us cannot do it, then nobody will do it. Then there will be no place called Nigeria, and Nigeria is our own, is our country, and we just must do it. So just like the slogan we had as small children during the Civil War, that to keep Nigeria one is a task that must be done. That was part of what we also used to be able to psych them up, provide the little we could lay our hands on to beef up their morale, and to gather whatever equipment we have to be able to start the onslaught again, right from inside Maiduguri, till gradually we move out towards towards Mongono, from Mongono to Baga, come back after taking over all those barracks and all the towns on the way. Came back, planned to go to the other side, Bama, Goza, Bita, Yamteke, all those places we planned. Though it was tough getting to Bama, we've had 3 times we made attempts, we couldn't get there. We had to go through a different route. Eventually, we succeeded going cross-country through a place called Mafa, and we were able to take on Bama from the rear. And that's how we succeeded in taking Bama, which was one of the 2 major caliphate headquarters of Boko Haram as at then. The second caliphate headquarters was Goza, which was just at the fringes of Sambisa forest. Eventually, we were able to also capture all those places. So most of the areas, the place that really posed serious problem was the northern part, especially close to the border with Chad. Those areas are very, very difficult areas in terms of the terrain. So that gave a little more problem. But eventually, with the multinational joint task force, all those places we were able to penetrate and created the enabling environment for us to be able to operate and contain the onslaught of Boko Haram and ISWAP as at then. I think in summary, I'll just stop by that.
Interesting. Also, I recall that Chadian forces were involved in the liberation of some Nigerian communities. I mean, they sacrificed their lives on Nigerian soil. Do you agree with those who are saying Nigeria needs foreign support to defeat terror?
Please come again. You are distorted.
I do apologize for that. I mean, I recall that Chadian forces were involved in the liberation of some Nigerian communities. They sacrificed their lives on Nigerian soil. So do you agree with those who are saying Nigeria needs foreign support to defeat terror?
The Nigeria use a strong support?
The Nigeria needs foreign support, international support to defeat terror.
Thank you. Actually, considering our strength, we really need cooperation from particularly our neighbors, which is really very, very important, because whatever we are able to do inside our territory will come to naught if our neighbors are not brought on board. And that gave the main reason why the president at then brokered the new multinational joint task force That's the first layer of international support that I believe was very, very critical. Aside from that, when we talk of international support, yes, there's no country that has everything it needs, either economically, militarily, or otherwise. And considering the fact that we are not a manufacturing nation, especially of military equipment, so buy-in of the international community for us to be able to access equipment and even additional specific technical trainings to handle those equipment were really necessary for us to collaborate with international community for their support. I think on that basis, it was really necessary that we needed the cooperation of the international community for us to do what we have been doing and what we are able to do.
So should such support involve putting foreign boots on ground?
Is the support still on ground? I don't understand.
Should such support you're talking about, should it involve putting foreign boots on ground?
No, it does not include putting foreign boots on ground. When the thing started initially, yes, there was the air component support that supported particularly in the training of some of our own Air Force pilots on the use of the available aircraft for real combat. Aside from that, they also took part in some of the operations, especially from the air. But in terms of boots on ground, we only have foreign trainers who were training our own special forces. As at then, it used to be called 72 Parachute Battalion from Makurdi. So most of the elements that were being used as special forces then, they trained them for us. And they gave them additional training, apart from the airborne and other special trainings that they have had. And those are the things that we used.
All right. General, let's take a quick commercial break and we'll be back with this conversation.